welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm Amanda.
I'm Rashawn.
And today we're going to be showing you how to make a tofu scramble. So I know that tofu is one of those things that if you haven't had it cooked right, you probably think it's gross. It looks gross sometimes. But we're going to show you how to make it taste good, show you how to get the seasonings right, have a little veggies in there. So this is a great recipe for breakfast. I made tofu scramble my entire vacation. I love it. So stay tuned for a new episode of Cook With Us.
So I'm going to show y'all how to do these veggies for the tofu breakfast scramble. We only got some spinach and we have an orange pepper and a red pepper. Alright, so with the spinach, you're only going to use about like a handful's worth, a good handful. I would say about enough to fill up a bowl. And then for the green pepper and the red pepper, not green pepper, orange pepper and red pepper, we're only going to use about, I'd say, less than a quarter of each green pepper. So I would say if you're going to, I'm going to show you, it's going to be about this much of a pepper. So for these bell peppers, as I said, we're going to be using like a less than like a quarter of each bell pepper. So we got the orange already cut out. I'm going to cut a little piece out of this red bell pepper. Oh, there we go. Kind of just cut it and grab it out. You always want to rinse your veggies. I'm going to rinse both. I'm going to rinse your spinach and you're going to rinse the bell pepper. So I'm going to do that and then I'm going to julienne and dice them. For the spinach, we're not going to do too much to the spinach since it's going to cook down and it's going to shrink pretty much while it cooks down. We're just going to get it all in a ball in your hand. Just cut it once down the middle. That's all you need. Spinach ready.
Hey guys, so we're on part 2 of this video. We're finally going to go ahead and cook that tofu. So I'm going to show you about how much I'm going to cook today, show you how to do the seasoning. There's a special way you have to do it when seasoning tofu. You're going to learn that here today, and then I'll show you how it all comes together. So let's go. Okay, so how much you cut from the tofu block depends on how many people you're feeding. I'm just going to make enough for about 2 people. So I'm just going to sliver off a little section of this tofu. Nice, clean cut. The whole freaking cutting board with me. So as you can see, this sliver here should be enough. You don't need to do anything else with it on the cutting board. Everything else we're going to do is going to be on the stovetop. Okay, so the most important part of making tofu is the seasoning. If it's not seasoned right, it's not going to taste good. Trust me, I've just made a fun bowl this week. Someone said my tofu tasted like clean dishes. You know who you are. Anyway, so I didn't have the right seasonings because I ran out of Lawry's. You can never run out of Lawry's. You got to have this in your kitchen. Otherwise, you end up with that dish tofu. So let's just put a little bit of that. This is a half cup of seasoning. I'm not going to totally fill this. You'd probably die from all the salt. I'm just going to fill it up a little bit and then add some water, and you'll see why in a little bit. So I just measure by eye. I try to get like the bottom of the cup filled with seasoning, if this will come out. There we go. This is like one of those kitchen size, like cafeteria size bottles. It's a little hard to get out, but you catch my drift. So that should be good. You gotta be really careful not to over salt too, but this is about how much I've got in there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add a little salt. Got some Morton iodized salt here. And since we already have seasoning salt, I'll just sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. I maybe have like half a teaspoon. I usually use cumin with this recipe as well. I don't have any cumin today, so I'm gonna have to rock with that, but I am gonna add a couple shakes of black pepper. Again, about half a teaspoon of black pepper. And finally, to give it a little extra something, I'm gonna add some paprika. So this is like, you gotta be careful if it's really open like this because it'll easily pour out. So just like very gently shake. Again, about half a teaspoon in there. So this is what we're rocking with at the end. I like to just like shake it all up. I'm gonna add some water to this and then I'll see you guys on the skillet. Okay, so I'm adding about a cap full of vegetable oil to the pan. Feel free to use a healthier oil. I've already been preheating my pan on about 6 right now, so it's already pretty hot. Just gonna throw that right in the center there. You definitely don't need a skillet this huge. I'm just working with what I got. So we're gonna let that oil heat up. I usually like to try to like move it around, but this pan is so huge that like honestly using the spatula would be better. This is non-stick, so you don't have to be as sensitive with the oil, but you just want to be mindful of the fact that you don't want everything sticking to the pan. Okay, so I've already added about a cap full of vegetable oil to my skillet, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in my spinach. It's okay to use a shit ton because, oops, be careful of that oil, y'all. It's okay to use a lot of spinach because it's really gonna shrivel up. So it's all good. And I'm actually gonna add a little bit more oil in here. Probably like another half a cap, just to make sure our pan is lubricated. And while that's sizzling, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the peppers in there as well. These are the ones that Rashawn diced earlier. So the thing is, when you're cooking with vegetables and you're using like a protein that you're gonna add on top, like tofu, you wanna go ahead and saute those vegetables first, then you're gonna add your main ingredient. So I'm gonna try to bring everything back to the center here. This is a really large skillet. We definitely don't need anything this big, but let's go ahead and add our tofu to the middle here. So what I like the tofu to do is kind of brown on both sides. I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil. And then I kind of flip it with my hand. Be careful, like no one burn themselves on my part, but once I feel like it's a little brown, I kind of chop it up with the spatula into little pieces. Then you're gonna take a fork and you're gonna press it down. So this is how you get that scramble. It's gonna end up looking like scrambled eggs, but healthier. And you gotta work fast here. You don't want anything to burn. You can hear it kind of sizzling. So off camera, I went ahead and added about a 4th cup of water to my seasoning mix, and now I'm gonna pour it over the tofu specifically. And the reason why you add water to this is because you need the water for the seasoning to melt into that tofu. So it sort of helps the seasoning stick to it, if that's a better analogy. So you don't want to use too much because you don't want your tofu to be soggy and dripping in water. You just want to be enough to really get that seasoning in there. And I'm probably going to go ahead and add a little bit more water just because we do have a lot of tofu and I feel like it'll help it out. Also, I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning salt. Like when you measure by eye, you got to be prepared to kind of jump in there and add some more things if you're not happy with the way it looks. And I've made this enough times to know how I want my seasoning to look in order to get the taste that I want. Also adding a little bit more pepper. So that should give us a lot of great flavor. You don't want this tofu to look too white, so that's why I added more seasoning, because I'm like, okay, I know if I got a darker color, I'm gonna get more flavor. If it looks too much like the original color, it's gonna taste like the original color, which is bland, like the dishes. So just keep adding in. So the rule I use when making tofu, at least tofu scramble, is I like to cook it until a lot of the water's evaporated. So once the water's evaporated, then you know that seasoning's in there, the vegetables are cooked, and then that's when you're gonna take it off of the eye. So here's our final product. As you can see, we have every color of the rainbow almost in this tofu scramble. Super excited to taste it. Rashawn's gonna taste it as well. I hope he likes it. And then we're gonna tell you guys our final thoughts on this recipe. Are you ready for this taste, Rashawn?
Yeah, as long as it tastes like clean dishes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
It's seasoned perfectly.
Okay, no clean dish taste.
Nice and seasoned.
Suck on that, clean dishes.
Oh my.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Cook With Us.
Thank
we
you all.
appreciate you hanging out. Hope you learned something new about making tofu today and that we made it a little less scary, a little more tasty. Anyway, don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, play it in the background, send it to your friends. We're trying to grow our presence here on YouTube. Also, comment down below if you guys have any different tofu techniques that you use or any recipes that you want us to try.
Word. Hell yeah.
See you next time. Bye.